I just got done playing BlazBlue, Phantasma Extend. I can easily say, this is not a $50 game, it's not a $40 game. It should be priced around $25 to $30. To somebody that is looking to play for the first time, it's a great bargain. I said that when I bought DOA 5 last round, and I was very thrilled with that game and thought I missed out on a lot. But to fans that played BlazBlue before, it's a slight disappointment. The new BlazBlue game is an extremely underwhelming game. The development team just misses the mark entirely. Sure, the game has got loads of content, but it's basically the same game as the previous one, BlazBlue Continuum Shift, and that released in USA 6 years ago. I'm very disappointed in Phantasma, and I'm certainly not thrilled about this upcoming Central Fiction. What is evolving? How is Central Fiction going to be too different from the previous titles? It's all just more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. Sure, it's good to add content and never remove any. It's equally as important to make changes to it. Make improvements. It has gotten to the point where it's at Assassin's Creed levels of bad in terms of originality. It's gotten so stale. We wait how long for a new game? 4 or 5 years? And it's the same game. The only difference is that everything cheesy about the game gets greatly amplified in each installment. The gameplay has hardly ever changed since Calamity Trigger, and that was nearly 10 years ago. You'd expect that maybe they should try to evolve the game somehow. You have enough character to possibly implement multiple or 2v2 or 3v3 battles, but there's probably reasons why that hasn't been done yet. Maybe that's way too chaotic. Or maybe they're not willing to tweak the gameplay at all. I mean, I know how long it must take to create those sprites, but not often do game developers recycle content every game. You're going to have to offer new, groundbreaking gameplay elements sooner or later. You don't want the same game. Sales are going to take a hit if they haven't already. All the fighting games change every game. Tekken, Soul Calibur, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Dead or Alive, you can't expect to create several additional characters, and record days of voiceover and then call it a new game. I said before that games need to have their own identity. Apparently, BlazBlue wants the identity of illustrations with their flappers moving while voiceovers keep talking and talking and talking. Characters standing still. Hazama has his hand on his head for several hours. Yeah, nothing exciting is going on at all. I understand that the developers want a huge emphasis on story, but I have played many other games that present their stories a lot better than just hours and hours of non-stop dialogue. What does it benefit the player? What is the reward? If they wanted to give fans a movie, they should have produced a movie. You're making a game. Give us an experience of a game. I am an avid player of the Telltale games like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. They are more of a story than a game as well, but unlike BlazBlue, these scenes actually play out somewhere. You actually get to watch what happens, you actually get to act and make decisions, you actually play a part in the story. With the Telltale games, you get 3D scenes playing out with are fully interactive and keep the players involved. With BlazBlue, you get 2D illustrations, a text box, and annoying voice actors that go on, and on, and on, and on. And at that, with all the over-the-top fighting mechanics this game has, how many people do they think would look forward to listening to the story? I just don't care. When I played Continuum Shift, I was intrigued with the concept finding about all these so-called nouns, people, places and things, but now with Phantasmagoria or whatever it's called, we get even more. I just don't care about all those fancy places and fancy terms for places and things, and that every character goes by 20 different names. It's just confusing. New players would not understand the story. At one point, characters are talking about inside terms nobody would understand in such a dreadful manner. The next moment, there is a 7-minute scene of them playing beach volleyball. The story mode is a pretty boring, underwhelming experience. The voice acting didn't do any favors, either. I could go without the voices. The story mode can be presented better and offer a lot more than 99% talking, 1% actual gameplay. It's just a mess. And I haven't even touched the other 2 stories yet, including Teach Me, Ms. Litchi. I was entertained by that story in Continuum Shift, but I don't want to put up with it right now. More and more story is the last thing this game needs. They could do with more participation from the player. The online lobbies are pretty neat. Imagine if you played as a character and got to roam around on an actual map like an RPG or adventure game, talking to NPCs, going to shops, playing challenges. These things should or could have made story mode actually worth playing. Fire Emblem has the character march from location to location, and you could revisit those locations for extra missions at any time if need be. Fire Emblem does indeed have a lot of dialogue, but it's not 99% of the game. It's not even 50% of the game. If BlazBlue has a story mode that was more like this, I don't think players would want to put it down. It needs an addictive quality to it, and unless whatever BlazBlue has got is considered addicting, they need to get to work. BlazBlue has had some unique one-player modes as well. They used to have Legion mode, and now they got Abyss mode. These are actually pretty neat modes with RPG elements added to them, but I just don't see how they expect players to master this mode with each character in the game. It gets too long and too repetitive. I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but maybe they should do a fun party mode. I'm not sure Project BB Team is aware, but many games developers are extending replayability of games with daily challenges. Rayman Legends in Super Smash Bros. Has this. Mortal Kombat the 10th is the main focus of their multiplayer. However, people every day play these games to tackle these challenges, because they change every day and they get rewarded for doing them. Maybe factions can work in BlazBlue, maybe a level system, maybe long-term rewards will get players to play the game a lot longer. Without playing a game mode they'll get tired of quickly. I was disappointed in the selection of new characters. They all look straight up generic. The only new character that shows a slight bit of flavor is the cross-dressing geisha. And wow, what a shock, it's androgynous. The Kogura character looks like just a random character. The only way for me to tell he's a general is having to get to his point in the story mode, which is a very long time. After never appearing in any previous game, he just somehow starts to exist out of the blue as a cornerstone of the story. Where do I begin with that? The same thing with Celica, but at least Celica has a more feasible explanation of her inclusion into the story. Bullet hardly meshes well with the aforementioned clusterfuck of a story. Azrael? Wow, such an innovative name. Let's take a look at the Japanese game cookie cutter character checklist. A character with spiky hair and numerous belt buckles, check. A cat girl, check. A magical girl, check. A comic relief that pretends to be a master trainer, check. A trashy blonde girl who thinks she is perfect, check. An androgynous character, check. A man named after an ancient mythological god, check. Where is the flavor, though? I made a video 4 years ago, it's still available, and in it, I had ideas for several new characters. A dark brooder with blades on his wrists that could fly. So far, there's no character in BlazBlue that flies. A mysterious juggernaut in gold armor hungry for power. So far, there's no character in BlazBlue other than Tager that acts like a tank. And so far, they've yet to give us a real animal fighter. Not like a half-cat or a morphing animal. Like a real bipedal animal. They got all these writers working on the game, and it feels at times that I do a better job at writing better characters. The initial BlazBlue characters were pretty great, then the new characters in Continuum Shift were so-so, and then the new characters in this game are pretty tacky. I know she's not a new character, but Mew 12 is so fucking horrible overall. Just when I don't have enough reasons to dislike Noel already. Just why does she exist? First of all, she's supposed to be a destroyer of everything, yet she's nearly nude. Her entire ass is sticking out and her bag looks like the cigarette tray from my car. She looks like something Lady Gaga would look like in a music video. Are we supposed to be afraid of her, or want to have sex with her? It's possible to have sexy-looking characters without a lack of clothing, much like with what they done with another unnecessary character, Isa Aoi. They probably wanted to sell more copies and get more money, so they decided to make a newer trashier skin of Lambda, work her into the story, and plaster her image all over whatever little marketing they got. Clearly that is their marketing strategy, not actually making a great product. That was Continuum Shift, but in Phantasma, surprise surprise, she returns in a couple scenes, but instead of an evil trashy Vocaloid, she's a good trash Vocaloid this time. Why? Secondly, I'm not in favor of people that are two different characters in the game. Seriously, enough with the super forms. What if for some reason, Injustice had Superman in the game, and then all of a sudden they wanted Clark Kent as well. Instead of having Mew 12, Jerome, and freaking Azaoi, that could be 3 new, different characters. Why the heck does Tsubaki even need a super form anyway? Who's it gonna be in Central Fiction? Makoto? Clones, mimic characters, people that take up more than one slot. Skins, let's have a diverse roster already. This isn't 1994 in which 2 characters shared a move set. We should be way past this. Now let's discuss the overall look and feel of the game. Everything about the game has to be bright and colorful, for whatever reason. From the backgrounds to the graphics on the screen, everything has to be loud, colorful, and in your face. I don't know anyone personally who is astonished by big bulky rainbow shapes. They need to consider that millions of possible customers of theirs come from the West, and they need to do some research on what Americans like in their games. A common design practice today is using flat, simple, minimalistic shapes and fonts. Assassin's Creed does this, Mortal Kombat does this, Destiny does this, and those user interfaces and menus turn out to be very, very beautiful. I have yet to see a Japanese game with this design approach, maybe outside of Mario and Fire Emblem. All those shapes on the screen are so repulsive. Those bars, those character portraits, and when you pause the game, this huge pink and blue TV screen appears. There is looking retro, and then there is looking outdated. And this looks extremely outdated. It could greatly benefit their sales numbers if it looked more like a game that North American gamers would pick up. Because there are indeed some nice looking backdrops. They're just too vibrant though. Maybe the developers just don't care about sales, and making improvements to the product and are content with the same product as before. They could be drawing more money than what they currently are making off the product. I don't think there will be a sales boom with this game, or with Central Fiction whenever that's going to come out. Did you see the trailer for it? They still got stages from the first game that they showed. It's still the same game, same engine. It just could be a lot better. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to challenge yourselves. You have to take risks. You have to make an effort. Maybe this just isn't the game for me. Many games I have turned away from the first few seconds after watching the trailer for. But I like fighting games. I love to see them gain more traction here in the West. I don't know what to think. They need to fix this game. It needs an overhaul that they should agree with us on. I'm not saying start over from scratch. They got loads of content. They just don't present that content in the right ways. Maybe if the developers did some research, and played more Western games and observed with how they look and feel, they would get an idea of what they could do to sell their product more. Even though people may happen to like BlazBlue and are okay with what they're given, they could be offered more, offered better. When Central Fiction comes out to the States in 2021 or whenever, it's safe to say I'm not going to race to the store to get it, unless Project BB Team gets out of their comfort zone.